The Office of Conservation and Coastal Lands essentially regulates the conservation district lands in the state of Hawaii. That includes the terrestrial areas, our mountains, our coastal areas, our flat coastal plains, our beaches, and also the marine areas from the shoreline 3 nautical miles out to sea and everything that occurs in between there. We also do enforcement, so we basically are responsible for holding people accountable that misuse conservation district lands in one way or another. We've actually been working with the folks that live in this area for a few years, and some people have been regularly complying with our requests to remove encroaching or unmaintained vegetation. We're not a landowner. We don't own land, we don't manage land, similarly to DOFA or state parks or boating. We're a regulatory entity. Much in the same ways you have county planning departments, we're essentially the 5th planning department in the state, but we're the state planning department who basically regulates uses that occur in conservation lands. So if somebody wants to build something on conservation land, be it a house, be it a public facility, a road, anything at all, they need to get a permit from us, and we review that permit as a regulator. It could be almost anywhere. It could be on private land. We do regulate private land in the conservation district, so we're regulating many private landowners throughout the state. It could involve government agencies who are involved in developing public works projects. We deal very much with like the various water departments on the neighbor islands, because they have a lot of facilities in the mountains, in the conservation areas, so they need to get authorizations and permits from us to put in water tanks and water transmission facilities. We do deal with some of the state departments like the Division of State Parks and DOFA when they have to develop facilities in their managed areas. In the offshore area, we deal with people that want to bring in cable landing sites to the islands, and we also regulate offshore aquaculture facilities. So if you want to put in an offshore fish farm, you've got to get a permit from us. We've had some unusual weather conditions over the past 6 months, which have resulted in a couple erosion hotspots. It's myself, we have 4 planners, we have 2 coastal geologists with us, and you know, typically in a day, you know, people come to work. We take a lot of calls day in and day out. People simply calling us and trying to get information about what the restrictions are on a particular piece of land. We might get calls from environmental groups complaining to us about someone who might be misusing conservation lands. You know, we're responsible for essentially protecting all of the state's coastal areas, 750 miles of shoreline. There's all kinds of activities taking place in these areas that kind of gets people's attention. You know, the construction of seawalls, general shoreline development, homes, facilities, and then you have coastal vegetation growing over the beach. You have people building things that block access. So all these people are calling us day in and day out and asking us to investigate these things. The other thing we do a lot of is, you know, a lot of people write to us, ask us questions about, you know, what they can do or can't do with conservation district lands. Complaint letters, we have to respond to those letters on a daily basis. And then there's the permit processing. So we're involved in major and minor permit processing. So somebody who wants to conduct a major use of conservation land submits an application to us, and we process it, and we'll present that to the Board of Land and Natural Resources at some point, and they'll be the ultimate adjudicator for whether or not that permit gets issued. And of course, you know, we service the coastal community in terms of providing technical guidance for people that are having serious erosion problems in the state. So we're oftentimes going out on the site, meeting with the various groups or stakeholders and trying to help them figure out what to do, because erosion is a serious problem in the state of Hawaii because we're an island state.
The 2012 project was just an overdue effort to keep up with the ongoing erosion, and if we're going to continue to do that, further beach nourishment will be required, or we can expect to continue to incrementally lose sand from the beach.
One of the services we offer is we're somewhat the state's clearinghouse for doing beach restoration projects. And so we have a number of efforts going on throughout the state, and of course Waikiki is our main focus right now. It's the center of our tourism economy. As you know, it generates significant amounts of revenues for the state. Most of the people that come to Hawaii go to Waikiki, so it's kind of like the gateway to the Hawaiian Islands. And it's also very much known for its world famous beach. It's been the world famous beach for almost a century. And but we all know that Waikiki Beach was largely manufactured. It was built about 80 years ago. They imported sand, they built erosion control structures, and to basically create this tourism center. And so the beach has become world famous over the years, for surfing, sunbathing, snorkeling. And so one of the things that we have to do is we have to try to help maintain the condition of that beach, the health of that beach, because the problem is beaches erode. And so we've noticed over the long term Waikiki Beach has been eroding. And so about 10 years ago we decided that we needed to maintain the beach, and so we developed beach restoration projects, and we just completed a major beach restoration project in Waikiki. Actually it was 2012, where we imported, well, we didn't import, but we recycled about 27,000 cubic yards of sand from offshore. We recycled it to the beach and restored the beach to its kind of former glory. And we're monitoring that beach right now to see how it's performing. And we have additional plans to fix Waikiki Beach. We right now have a plan to replace the Royal Hawaiian groin on the west end of Royal Hawaiian Beach. We're going to basically take out the old groin and put in a brand new articulated T-head groin to help maintain the sand within that beach segment. And beyond that, we have recently been authorized to look at other major improvements in Waikiki. And so we have major comprehensive efforts underway to make sure that Waikiki Beach is maintained at an acceptable level to support this tourism industry there. The state shall preserve and conserve its natural and cultural resources for the benefit of present and future generations. Much of our natural and cultural resources are located in areas that we are responsible for, whether it's in our unique mountainous areas, in our watershed areas, in our wetlands, along our beaches, our sandy beaches, and on our reefs and our submerged areas. We have very important cultural natural resources. Our agency is the agency that kind of is the gatekeeper in terms of who can use those resources, and if they can use those resources, how they can use those resources judiciously, not squander them, not degrade them in any way. So our job is to make sure that that these resources are used to the greatest extent possible in a responsible manner. We're not against using resources, but it's got to be done in a way that sustains the resource in perpetuity, and so that's why we're so important, and we have a lot of responsibility within our program. We take it very seriously, and it's a responsibility that affects many different areas of state interest, from our beaches, access along our beaches, the health physical health of our beaches to how people use our watershed areas to a certain extent. So, you know, I believe that we're one of the most important entities in the state in terms of overall resource conservation and protection.